The chill of the autumn night seeped into my thin coat, biting at my exposed skin. My stomach rumbled a protest, a familiar ache that had become a constant companion these past few weeks. I clutched the tattered edges of my shawl tighter, pulling it closer to my shivering frame. Across the street, the warm glow of the Gilded Spoon spilled onto the pavement, and with it, the inviting aroma of roasted chicken and fresh-baked bread. My mouth watered, a painful reminder of how long it had been since I'd tasted anything other than stale crusts. My gaze lingered on the elegant patrons inside, their faces flushed with good food and laughter. They seemed to belong to a different world, one I had only glimpsed from the outside. A wave of desperation washed over me, heavy and cold. I had tried begging, but people just looked away, or worse, with disdain. My voice was too soft, my presence too easily ignored. Then, my eyes fell upon the grand piano tucked away in a corner of the restaurant, its polished wood gleaming under the soft lights. A spark ignited within me, a tiny flicker of hope in the overwhelming darkness. The piano. It was the only thing I had left, the one true companion through the years of hardship. My mother, God rest her soul, had taught me to play. She always said my fingers danced on the keys, that I had a gift that now seemed utterly useless in the face of hunger. But what if? What if I could offer something in return? Something beautiful, something that might move someone to kindness. The thought was audacious, terrifying even. What if they threw me out? What if they laughed? My stomach made the decision for me. The hunger pangs were too insistent to ignore. Taking a deep, shaky breath, I pushed open the heavy oak door of the Gilded Spoon. A wave of warmth enveloped me, and the rich sense of food hit me with full force. It was almost intoxicating. Immediately, a hush fell over the room. Heads turned. Conversations died down. I felt their eyes on me, sharp and critical, dissecting my worn clothes and disheveled appearance. A young, impeccably dressed waiter with a sneer plastered on his face started towards me. "Can I help you?" he asked, his tone dripping with thinly veiled contempt. My voice, when it came, was a mere whisper. I was wondering if I could play for something to eat? A ripple of snickers went through the room. A portly man in a silk suit at a nearby table let out a booming laugh. "Play for your supper, little girl? What do you play? A tin whistle?" His companions joined in, their laughter echoing through the once quiet room. My cheeks burned with shame. I felt my resolve crumble, the tiny spark of hope extinguished by their cruel amusement. My eyes welled up, and I wanted nothing more than to disappear, to vanish into the shadows from which I had come. But then, something shifted within me. A stubbornness, a defiance that I didn't know I possessed. My mother's words echoed in my mind. "Never let anyone dim your light, my little star." I swallowed hard, pushing back the tears. I met the waiter's gaze, my chin trembling slightly but held high. "I play the piano," I said, my voice gaining a surprising strength. "I play for my mother." The sneer on his face hardened. "We don't allow just anyone to bang on our piano, little girl. It's for our valued customers' entertainment, not for charity acts." Just as he was about to usher me out, a voice cut through the air, calm and clear. "Wait." All eyes turned to an elderly woman sitting alone at a small table by the window. Her silver hair was neatly pinned, and her eyes, though kind, held a glint of steel. She had been observing the scene with a quiet intensity. "Let her play," she said, her voice carrying an undeniable authority. "What harm can it do?" The waiter hesitated, clearly uncomfortable contradicting a regular high-paying customer. He looked at me, then at the manager who had now emerged from the kitchen, a frown etched on his face. The manager, a stout man with a neatly trimmed mustache, surveyed the scene, then sighed. All right, he conceded reluctantly. But just one song. And if it's not up to standard, you're out. My heart hammered against my ribs. One song. This was my only chance. I walked towards the piano, my legs feeling like lead. The keys, once a source of comfort, now seemed to mock me with their pristine perfection. My hands, calloused and chapped from the cold, felt clumsy and inadequate. I sat down on the plush velvet stool, the soft fabric a stark contrast to the hard benches I usually slept on. The height was wrong, but I adjusted, my fingers hovering over the ivory and ebony. I closed my eyes, taking another deep breath, trying to block out the stares, the whispers, the mocking laughter. I tried to remember the warmth of my mother's hand guiding mine, the gentle encouragement in her voice. I opened my eyes, and my gaze fell upon a photograph on the piano. A smiling woman, her face filled with warmth and kindness. For a moment, it felt like my mother was there, watching me, urging me on. Then, my fingers, as if guided by an unseen force, found their rhythm. I started with a piece my mother had loved, a Chopin nocturne. The first few notes were hesitant, fragile, like dewdrops on a spiderweb. The murmur of the room continued, though slightly subdued. But as I continued, the music began to flow, gathering strength and momentum. The melody, mournful and beautiful, filled the air, weaving its way through the clinking of silverware and hushed conversations. My fingers, though aching with cold, moved with a grace that surprised even me. Each note was a breath, a memory, a silent plea. I poured every ounce of my desperation, my longing, my sorrow, and my hope into the music. The restaurant slowly fell, silent. The clatter of plates stopped. The laughter died. All eyes were on me, no longer filled with scorn, but with something else. A dawning realization, a quiet awe. The music swelled, a powerful wave of emotion that transcended the elegant walls of the Gilded Spoon, touching something deep within each person present. I played as if my life depended on it, which, in a way, it did. I played for my mother, for the empty ache in my stomach, for the longing for warmth and kindness. I played until the last, lingering note faded into the quiet air, leaving behind a profound silence. For a long moment, no one moved. No one spoke. The silence was heavier than any laughter, more potent than any scorn. Then a single clap broke the stillness. It came from the elderly woman by the window. Her face was streaked with tears, her eyes shining with unshed emotion. Then another clap and another, until the entire room erupted in applause, a standing ovation. It was a sound I had only dreamed of, a sound that filled me with a warmth, far greater than any fire could provide. The manager, his earlier scowl replaced by a look of stunned amazement, was the first to approach me. He extended a hand, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I was met with genuine respect. "My dear," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "That was incredible. Truly magnificent." He turned to the waiter, his gaze stern. "Get our guest anything she wants? Anything at all." The waiter, humbled and red-faced, nodded quickly and scurried off. The elderly woman, her eyes still glistening, came over and gently took my hand. "My dear," she said, her voice soft but firm, "you have a gift, a truly extraordinary gift. Your mother would be so proud." Tears, hot and unstoppable, finally spilled down my cheeks. They weren't tears of sadness, but of overwhelming relief, of gratitude, of a profound sense of being seen, truly seen, for the first time in so long. "Thank you," I managed to whisper, my voice choked with emotion. The manager returned, a plate piled high with roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, and steamed vegetables, along with a warm slice of apple pie. The smell alone was enough to make me dizzy. "Eat, child," he said, his voice gentle. "Eat as much as you like, and when you're done, we can talk about a more permanent arrangement." My heart leaped. A permanent arrangement? It was almost too much to comprehend. I picked up my fork, my hands still trembling, and took my first bite of real food in weeks. It was ambrosia, a taste of heaven. As I ate, the elderly woman sat beside me, and we talked. Her name was Mrs. Eleanor Vance, and she was a retired music teacher, a patron of the arts, and a kind soul. She listened patiently as I told her about my mother, about our struggles, about my unwavering love for the piano. She offered me not just food, but a place to stay, a warm bed, and lessons. She saw beyond my rags, beyond my hunger, to the music within me. She saw a future that I had almost given up on. That night, I slept in a real bed for the first time in months. The warmth of the blankets a luxurious comfort. The silence of the room, broken only by the gentle ticking of a clock, was a soothing balm to my weary soul. The next day, I started my new life. Mrs. Vance became my mentor, my friend, my surrogate grandmother. She polished my raw talent, teaching me new pieces, refining my technique, and opening my eyes to the vast, beautiful world of classical music. I played at the Gilded Spoon often, the customers now coming specifically to hear me. No more snickers, no more disdain, only rapt attention and heartfelt applause. One evening, months later, I sat at the piano in the Gilded Spoon, my fingers dancing across the keys, playing a complex, soaring piece by Rachmaninoff. The restaurant was packed, and every eye was on me. The music filled the air, rich and vibrant, a testament to how far I had come. As the final notes faded, the applause was thunderous. I looked up, a genuine smile gracing my lips, a warmth radiating from within me that had nothing to do with the restaurant's heating. My gaze fell upon the manager, standing by the bar, a proud smile on his face. Then to Mrs. Vance, her eyes, shining with tears of joy. And for a fleeting moment, I imagined my mother, sitting among the crowd, her face beaming with pride. I knew then that her words were true. My light had not been dimmed. In fact, it had shone brighter than ever, all because of the music that had saved me, nourished me, and given me a second chance at life. I bowed my head, a silent thank you to the universe, to Mrs. Vance, to the manager, and most of all, to my mother, who had given me the gift that had transformed my entire world. The girl who was once laughed at for wanting to play for something to eat was now playing for the sheer joy of it, her heart full, her future bright. The piano, my silent confidant, had become my voice, my hope, my salvation. And with every note, I vowed to honor the memory of the one who had taught me to play.